Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to a special edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch, where we're going to look at all things Iconic Masters and Unstable at least one more time. Now, these sets have been out for a while now. Iconic Masters 7 weeks, Unstable 4 weeks. And believe it or not, they are starting to, no pun intended here, stabilize a little bit. So perhaps next week I'll roll them in with a regular Market Watch. I'll keep a close eye on it, but I think we're getting pretty close. If not next week, definitely the week after. I think we've reached that point with these cards. Now, quickly before we get into the details today, if you check out the description below, you'll find a few ways to help support what we do at the channel. It's always appreciated. You'll find our Patreon page down below, as well as product links for Amazon or Flipside Gaming. Purchases in either of those places help us out tremendously. So thank you in advance for looking at that. And with that being said, let's get into it. We're going to start off with the top 10 Iconic Masters cards that have lost value this week. And I'll tell you right off the bat, this set is starting to look pretty stable. And the big question, is it time to buy singles? Yeah, you know what? I think if you're in for the short term, with some exceptions, which we'll see on this next list coming up, I think it is time to start thinking about buying these singles. They are seemingly finding their price point. Now, word of warning though, there's a lot of sealed product out there. Now, do I think a lot of this sealed product is going to be open soon? I don't really think so. I think people moved on to Unstable. They're going to move on now to Rivals, the Masters 25, and the set's going to be kind of forgotten about for a while. I think the sealed product that is left with distributors and card stores and such, I think it's going to sit there, and I do think there will be people buying it up just to sit on. So I could see people making purchases of booster boxes, 120 to 160 bucks, and just saying, you know what, I'm going to sit on these. And, you know, sure, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, you can probably sell them for about 240. And that might be good enough for some people. So yes, down the road, there could be more quantities of these cards showing up, but I do think it's going to be more of a trickle than a dump. So yeah, I don't know if it's going to affect the price all that much, just maybe kind of subtly. Might affect confidence more than anything, because people will know that these things are out there. But with that being said, let's see what's going on. Number 10, Magus of the Moon, down 5 cents to 8.05. So very, very small loss this week. Pretty stable now at the $8 mark, I think. But this card was actually, at least the original version of the card, was actually pretty inflated for Future Sight, just due to the fact that it was pretty hard to find. Future Sight had a low print run, and just scarcity drove the price more than anything. And yes, the card does see competitive play in decks like Big Red and Legacy, for example, but $8 feels like a much more fair price point for this card. And if you look around, you can find it cheaper. Number 9, Kokusho, the Evening Star, down 6 cents to 6.39. This card had a little bit of life when the set first came out, because I think a lot of Commander players were trying to pick up copies if they didn't have one, especially with that new art, which was quite striking. And foils of this were actually pretty popular too for a while. But now that those players, I think, have the cards in their possession, things are getting a little softer for Kokusho. Number 8, Arabraska, the Hidden, down 8 cents to 3.30. Another great card to play in casual formats. Actually, very inexpensive card, though, as it settles in around the 3, maybe 3.25 mark. Number 7, Obnixilis the Fallen, down 9 cents to 2.21. This one's a mythic. This one is actually a really good casual card again. And if you ever played with this thing, that landfall trigger can be kind of out of hands relatively quickly, especially considering this only costs 5 to cast. This is actually a really strong card. Hasn't crossed over really into competitive play or anything like that, I think mostly due to the casting cost, but it is a lot of fun to play with. Number 6, Jin Gataxias Core Augur, down 9 cents to $7, as this is starting to settle into its price point as well. This card actually does see a little bit of play sometimes in Legacy Reanimator, but again, mostly a casual card. A lot of fun to be able to slam this down, and then at the beginning of your end step, draw 7 new cards. Number 5, Thunderball Hellkite, down 17 cents to 3.28. This card was awesome back in its day in Standard. Nowadays, sometimes it sees a little bit of niche play in Modern and like a Gruul beatdown style deck. But again, it's still an awesome casual card regardless. Number 4 is Primeval Titan, down 18 cents to 6.42. Great card for certain Modern decks like Titan Shift, for example, some others too. So even though this card has seen a number of printings now, still holds some popularity due to the amount of play it does see. And I do think it's going to settle in probably around that $6 mark pretty easily. Number 3, Aether Vial, down 32 cents to $30.89. So Aether Vial did a pretty good job at maintaining its price point throughout this roller coaster ride that has been Iconic Masters. Now, part of the reason is when Iconic Masters came out, there was a lot of attention on the Humans deck for Modern, a lot of people trying to put that deck together. Ether Vial is a big part of that, but don't forget Ether Vial is also a big part of a lot of amazing decks in a number of formats. So this card is just a great staple, and it just had a little more attention on it recently, which the timing was perfect. So because of that, we're seeing it settle in around that $30 price point, and at least it's cheaper than it was a few weeks ago, but still, it didn't go down all that much, at least for this version. Number 2, Mana Drain, down 32 cents to $69.99 this week. So pretty much staying relatively stable, and this surprised me a little bit. I thought this would go a little bit lower and drop a little more aggressively than it has. And the reason I would say that is because I felt like a lot of players that would want this card, like vintage players, they already have their original copies. The people that want this would be Commander players and just casual players, collectors maybe, because it does have some new art. Now, when it comes to Commander players, they don't have to buy more than one. Some will want to, but if the price point is a little too high for them, they can stop at one and get by, and can probably be relatively happy with that. So, all things considered, I really thought this card might go down to $50, and I kind of readjusted last week and said, well, maybe $55 to $65. Well, it's getting close to $65, but I don't know if it even quite gets there, at least not anytime soon. I think the card's just so iconic. People just want a copy of it just to have in their collections, and I think that's what's going on. This is kind of the crown jewel of the set. It's garnered the most attention, and definitely that shows in the price point. Number 1, Ancestral Vision, down 35 cents to $16.99. So our biggest loss this week is very conservative, only 35 cents, and that's a great indication that these cards are finding their price point. Now, Ancestral Vision being the one to lose the most value, does have new art by John Avon. I do want to point that out. It looks awesome. But the card is seeing less play than it was seeing maybe just a few months ago. And considering that a new infusion of these just hit the marketplace, with this being a rare, it's going down a little bit. Now, on the flip side of the coin, though, the As Foretold's Living End deck, which is very popular right now in Modern, a lot of people trying to assemble that deck runs this. So this card could have been even worse off maybe if people weren't trying to assemble that deck possibly. So that's something interesting to think about. But I do think this goes down a little bit more at least. Alright, so those are the cards going down in value. What cards are going up in value? I think you're going to be surprised. You're actually going to see some pretty decent climbs with a few of the cards today. Number 10, Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker, up 10 cents to $6.10. Pretty conservative climb on this one, but this card has seen a number of printings over the years. Important to note, though, it has had success in Modern. You think back to like Kiki Cord. When you see it nowadays, a lot of times you see it more often in the Teamer Breach deck. Sometimes will show up there. So it is a card that definitely has some relevancy when it comes to competitive formats, but it's also a cool casual card. Number 9, Oblivion Stone, up 14 cents to $5.89. So not a huge climb, but very interesting. These cards are going up instead of going down, so keep that in mind. Oblivion Stone, awesome in some of the Tron variants. Number 8, Consecrated Sphinx, up 14 cents to $12.50. Now this is one of the mythics that I think maybe was a little undervalued going into the release of the set, because it never really lost all that much value, even when a lot was being opened. In fact, it's been ticking up slowly for a number of weeks. Now the card doesn't see a lot of competitive play anymore, but it is an awesome casual card. Great for cubes, great for Commander. Number 7, Avacyn Angel of Hope, up 18 cents to $13.90. Another awesome Commander card that is starting to tick up, so it has stabilized. Seems like it's finding its price point. Number 6, Sheoldred Whispering One, up 24 cents to $9.99. Another card that's awesome in Commander, awesome in a lot of casual play. Number 5, Bloodghast, up 29 cents to $8.90. This is a card that sometimes sees some Modern play in Dredge decks, and even some other places too, but Bloodghast, just a really cool card that works well with any sort of graveyard shenanigans you might be trying to pull off in conjunction to this, and also landfall abilities are always pretty decent. Number 4, Flusterstorm, up 40 cents to $22.37. So very interesting. Flusterstorm really starting to find the price point. Now, this was going down pretty heavily over the last few weeks, and now instead of going down, it's actually creeping up 40 cents. That's relatively significant. It means it's finding its price point here. Maybe it goes down a little more before it's all said and done, but I think it's going to probably sit around the $20 to $22 mark pretty easily. Now, I said last week that the price point feels like a fair price point for this card, actually, because it's an awesome vintage and legacy card. Not always on the board, sometimes in main decks. It's also good in casual formats. But originally, the Commander 2011 version of this card was just hyperinflated just due to scarcity. So now that we have another option out there, the card comes down to what I would consider a pretty fair price. Number 3, Archangel Thune, up 74 cents to $12.98. So this card, like some of the others, does see a little bit of competitive play. Sometimes on an Obzon Company in Modern is like a one of, But for the most part, again, another great casual card, and it's creeping up now close to $1 this week. Number 2, Thoughtseize, up 89 cents this week to 16.02. This is a great indication that this set is stabilizing. These cards are trying to find their price point. Almost $1 increase on a card that's a rare coming out of the set. Now, a very popular rare. This card is a huge modern staple. It's great in other formats too, but just huge and modern all the time. And it has that original artwork that we saw in Lorwyn, which a lot of players wanted to get this version, and it was hard to pick up because Lorwyn was a little bit scarce with a lower print run, and people had to pay around $50, sometimes $55 at one point for that original version. Now it's come down with this release, of course. But here's another option that's much cheaper to pick it up. A lot of people are vying for it, as you can see by the price point here. And I do think this continues to go up. Again, maybe it snaps back for a week or something, but I think for the most part, this will just creep up now. Number 1, Cryptic Command, going up $1.06 to $21.95. I've said it before, this card was overlooked during the pre-release time period. A lot of people were selling these and pre-ordering these for a low price point, sometimes around $10 to $15. And that just isn't right for this card. This card is a huge modern staple, great in control decks, and control modern is pretty popular right now too, among a lot of other different decks because the format is so healthy. But also too, it's got new art. The art's really sweet. A lot of people are attracted to this card. Again, it might snap back slightly, but for the most part, I think this one's going to be going up. All right, that is our look at Iconic Masters. Very surprising. Things are definitely changing there. But let's talk about Unstable now. Unstable's been out for 4 weeks. A few things you want to know about this set. First off, there's more product coming. Mark Rosewater did say a while back this will be a print-on-demand set. That means as long as stores want it and they can have the printers available to print it, they are going to do so. And you're going to see more of this hit stores. If not before, I do think definitely after Rivals comes out, you have that weird gap between Rivals and Masters 25. Stores are going to be offered a ton of this product, I'm sure, during that time period. It's been very popular, demand strong for it. People are still very interested, if nothing else, in the basic lands and the tokens and some of the other key cards. So there's a lot of excitement around the set just generally. Some of the foils have been pretty hot, we talked about in the past. So let's see what's going on with this, starting with the cards that lost value this week. Number 10, Ineffable Blessing. This is the white border, silver bordered variant, down 26 cents this week to $2.43. Maybe arguably one of the better versions if you want to play like a silver bordered cube, for example. Number 9, Everythingamajig. This is the Mana Rock variant, down 28 cents this week to $2.39. So even though some of these Everythingamajigs are losing value, they're all holding a pretty decent price point, all things considered. Because you do have to remember, this is a silver bordered set, and technically it's legal in Commander through January 15th, but the clock is ticking. Right now, that's just a little over 2 weeks away, not a lot of time. So players that wanted to pick up cards to play in Commander side events or something like that, they are going to probably already have those cards at this point. So you're going to see a little bit of a cooling in some of the cards that feel like they're strong competitive cards. But at the same time, other play groups will allow play beyond January 15th if you're just playing in casual groups. Or cube is a huge thing, especially silver bordered cube. I think a lot of people are thinking about that right now. So you're going to notice that reflected in a lot of the prices today, I think. Number 8, Ineffable Blessings back again. This time it's a choose a number variant, down 37 cents to $1.55. Maybe not one of the better versions of this card, but you could argue all of them are pretty decent. Number 7, Sword of Dungeons & Dragons, down 56 cents to $4.19. So this is a mythic, and this card was pretty hot just going into the release time period. A lot of people wanted a copy of this. They saw it during the HasCon promotion, and a lot of folks couldn't get their hands on that promo. So this was the next best thing for them, and they kind of rushed out and picked it up quick, and now it's cooling down. Number 6, one of the very cryptic commands. There'll be more coming. This is the untapped 2 target permanence variant, down 57 cents to $5.24 this week. So again, even though you're going to see a lot of these coming down, they are still holding some nice value attached to them, all things considered. Number 5, we got some more very cryptic command, and this is the return target permanent to its controller's hand variant, down 64 cents to $4.14. Number 4, Urza Academy Headmaster, down 64 cents to $5.97. So this kind of makes sense. This typically happens with Planeswalkers just generally. They're very hot during the pre-release time in the first week or so, and then players get their hands on them. They start to cool down a little bit. Number 3, we got some more very cryptic command for you. This is the counter target black bordered spell variant, down 83 cents to $4.75. Number 2, very cryptic command, down $1.11 to $5. This is the draw a card from an opponent's library variant. And number 1, we close things out with Very Cryptic Command. This is the Wayne England variant, down $1.89 to $6.47. So even though players are getting their hands on this, it's coming down a little bit, still holding a nice price point around the $6 to $7 range. And this is just a really awesome tribute card to Wayne England. This is going to be a card that people are going to be thinking about and wanting to collect well after Unstable kind of passes us by. So this is one of those ones that long term I think is just kind of nice to have in a collection. Alright, top 10 Unstable cards that have gained value this week. Now, we saw some decent losses, and you're going to see from the gains this week, very, very conservative gains. Things have really slowed down quite a bit for this set. And again, for the reasons I mentioned earlier. The Commander players, they kind of got their cards, the clock's ticking on that just generally. And also, too, a lot of people know more of the set's coming. They know stores are going to be getting it, and they don't want to kind of overbuy. So let's see what's going on. The first few cards, I'll warn you right off the bat, could have been anything. Number 10, Steel Squirrels, up a cent to 18 cents. So see what I mean? You're going to see a lot of 1 cent climbs here. Number 9, Beast and Show. This is the variant that you see on the screen with the spiky beast, up a cent to 18 cents. Number 8, Amateur Orator, and this is the Zendikar variant, up a cent to 18 cents. Number 7, Curious Killbot, up a cent to 19 cents. And number 6, Despondent Killbot, up a cent to 20 cents. Number 5, another version of Every Thingamajig. This is the target player discards a card, activate this ability only during your turn variant. Up 9 cents to $1.69, maybe one of the least popular versions of this card, but goes up a little bit. Number 4, more Every Thingamajig. This is the Scry 2 variant, up 19 cents this week to $1.75. Number 3, guess what? Every Thingamajig, up 37 cents to $5.80. This is the +1/+1 counter variant. Now, this one may be the most popular because it can actually create some crazy combos on other cards. And also, it's just a fun card. Like, even if you try to play fair with this, you could play this in like a +1/+1 Matters Commander deck, and it could actually be pretty good for you there. So, very powerful version of the card. Number 2, Every Thingamajig, up 48 cents to $2.64. This is the You Gain 10 Life variant, climbing the most out of all of these variants this week. And number 1, it's an uncommon. It's Garbage Elemental, the Undying variant, up 70 cents to $1.04. Alright, let's move on to some notable unstable foil cards. And I'll give my quick disclaimer here. Be really careful when you buy foils, especially for a new set, because price points haven't always been established right away. And if you don't have a lot of sales data, you could be misled on pricing sometimes. Somebody could list a lot of cards overpriced, and it could affect values that you see on your websites like MTG, Goldfish, or stocks or price. So you want to be really careful. I would suggest checking out eBay for sold listings, because that's going to give you an idea what people are actually paying for cards more than anything, right? So when it comes to these cards that have not a lot of sales data, just be careful, do your homework, basically what I'm saying, because these could change probably at any minute. But they are starting to show signs of stabilization. So let's see 3 cards that are maybe a little bit colder this week and then 3 that are a little warmer. First, we have Hard Hat Area, down $9.55 to $23. This is a very hot foil. It was last week, coming down a lot this week. Now, the price point last week might not have been a price point people were willing to pay for the card, and that's why you're seeing it come down so drastically this week, is it's trying to find its price point. But there's a lot of people interested in contraptions. I mean, being able to maybe do a unstable cube or a silver bordered cube and have a whole bunch of foil contraptions a draft is appealing to some people. Also, too, there's some speculators out there thinking about the possibilities of these things someday being in Legacy or Vintage, because technically these are considered black bordered cards, or, well, no border cards, but they are technically legal in Vintage and Legacy. But unfortunately, there's just no avenue to activate them. At least not right now. Now, will WotC pull the trigger on that someday? Who knows? But some people just want to be prepared, and I get that. So there is definitely some interest around these cards. Next, we have BB Gun. This is another foil that was hot last week, but this week it's down $10.45 to $34.49. So another card that's trying to find its true price point. And the card that dropped the most this week, Steamflogger Boss foil, down $33.28 to $172.50. So we've been following this card for a couple weeks now. 2 weeks ago it was around the $400 price point, but nobody was paying that for it. Last week we saw it come down to around $200. And yeah, that was more of what was actually happening in the marketplace. But since then, people are getting their hands on this card. So they're starting to see a wane in demand a little bit, and prices are dropping a little bit more. Now, who wants this card? It is very rare and very hard to find. So it's your collectors, maybe your speculators, people that want some status symbol type cards for like their cube or something like that. That's really the market, which is not necessarily a huge portion of the market, so you do have to take that into account, but the supply is very limited here. The actual Steen Flagger Boss, opening that in a pack feels like trying to open a masterpiece, so the foil, stands to reason, is going to be very hard to open, and you're not going to see a ton of copies. Also, Sean Dias pointed out in the comments last week that this version has the watermark, which the original version technically doesn't, so that could matter. That's actually kind of interesting. I wonder if they will errata the original to say it has the watermark, or maybe they won't care, because, I mean, we have seen other cards in Unstable that have the same name but are just different, so who knows, right? You never know. This is an unset. So kind of interesting, though, just to think about. But even aside from that, though, I do think this card continues to come down, just due to the fact that more products coming, more will be open down the road. And I do think the number of people interested in this card just generally will be a little bit smaller, considering people that just want a foil copy can get the Future Sight one a lot cheaper. Optical Optimizer. This is a foil up $1.98 this week to $6.98. This is an uncommon. It's got my favorite words on it, though. Draw a card. Islands. This is up $2.11 this week to $87.50. So the other foil basic lands have dropped slightly this week, but Island being Island, going up a little bit. And finally, Urza Academy Headmaster. This foil is up $3.94 to $63.84. So again, stands to reason. It's the Planeswalker going up a little bit, a little more popular than some of the others. Alright, with that being said, that is our special edition of the Market Watch. We are going to be back tomorrow with the last regular Market Watch for 2017. And we're going to talk about all things Standard, Modern, Legacy, some other notable cards as we always do. But until then, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, subscribe. Have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.